We know that President Duterte was given temporary emergency powers just last night. Give us a sense of the latest directive from the president.
Yes, we've determined that we have to shut down our country and, of course, our economy to combat the spread of the coronavirus. And these have very serious effects on the livelihood of our people. So the first effort that we have made is to seek emergency powers for our president, primarily to align our budgets and the funds we have outside of the budget, which are with government-owned corporations, to use to support the people who have lost their livelihood during this period of lockdown. And then, therefore, we have a program which allows the president to realign budgets up to roughly $4 billion to provide direct subsidies to people who are in the informal sector of our economy. And this will give them...
Dominguez,
yes.
Talk to us about the stimulus package. What will you be targeting?
The first package we have is a package to support our people, the people who have lost their livelihoods. The second part of that package also is to support the frontliners in our combat against the coronavirus. And the third part of that package is to provide the funding from various sources. We are getting funding from our multilateral agencies, and our central bank has agreed to purchase up to 300 billion pesos worth of government bonds, as well as to reduce the reserve requirements of banks by 200 basis points, which should release another 200 billion pesos into the economy. So our first package really has three goals: support our people, those who have lost their livelihoods; support our efforts, the efforts of our frontliners to combat the coronavirus by purchasing personal safety equipment, medical ventilators, and
Secretary
so on.
Dominguez?
Yes, and third,
There's a lot of talk
to support the economy as a whole.
There is a lot of talk that you're hoping to raise $1 billion from lenders. Can you confirm that? Are you hoping to do that?
Yes, we are. We are in talks with them right now, and the talks are going well, and this will go a long way to support our efforts to combat this virus.
Secretary Dominguez, it's Yvonne in Hong Kong. Thank you so much for joining us. How high are you willing to push the budget deficit now? The Economic Planning Agency, NADA, seeing that it possibly widen everywhere from 4.4% to 5.4% of GDP. Is that a likely possibility now?
Well, the way it looks, it all depends on how long this emergency will last. And we are certainly looking at a drop in our GDP growth, possibly to 0.5% negative. That's assuming that it will last the whole year and we do nothing. And secondly, definitely our tax collections are going to be very weak, partly because of the shutdown. So we are definitely looking at a budget deficit higher than what we planned, of between 3 and 3.6%.
And at what cost, though? I mean, how do you plan to fund the increased spending now? You mentioned a little bit more about the bond buying. Do you think what the central bank's doing now is enough, or are you looking to tap into more domestic and overseas markets at this point?
We are going to tap all markets at this point. Again, as I said, depends on how long this lasts, but we are prepared very well prepared to increase our debt levels. As you know, we have reduced our debt levels from over 70% of GDP to only 41% of GDP now. So we are in a very good position to combat this coronavirus, and we have the debt capacity to do that.
Are you concerned about the pushback from credit raters because your team was actually looking for the first A grade by 2022?
Well, I guess the coronavirus changed all that. We understand the concerns of the credit agencies, but again, I suppose we are not the only ones in this boat. I think practically the whole world is facing the same problems that we do. Our main concern now, as I said, is no longer the credit agency's opinion of us, but the survival of our people, the support to those whose livelihoods are affected, and of course our supporting our general economy to be ready for the inevitable return of normalcy.
Secretary Dominguez, the Philippines shut its financial markets, the first country to do that. Are there plans to do that again should the situation worsen from here?
No, there are no plans to do that. We did that initially to make sure that the markets have time to consider the developments. And so far, I'm told yesterday and today, the markets have steadied.
How deeply do you expect this volatility to go?
Well, we've already dropped almost 50% in the stock market, so I don't know how much more you can go. But basically, this is a trend around the world, and we are not out of the field, the ball field. So basically, we're in there. But again, I want to emphasize our debt capacity is very strong. Our economic fundamentals are very strong, and we will take advantage of the return to normalcy.
Despite the fundamentals, the Philippine Composite Index is still among the worst performers in the world year to date. I'm wondering whether state funds, you instructed them to help support the stock market. They failed to do that. Is there scope for the state funds to do even more?
At this point in time, we will keep our steady hand in the market, and we will see how this develops. As you know, the state funds have a responsibility to the future generations as well. So we are while we are supportive of the market, we have to do it in a very responsible way.
So what other arsenals do you have?
What arsenals do we have?
How else can you,
President?
yes, how else can you support the market?
The Philippine market? Well, number one is to show that we are in full command of the situation and that we are making progress against the coronavirus. That's number one. Number two, we have released at least 200 billion pesos. We will release, starting the end of this month, 200 billion pesos by the reduction of the reserve requirements, and that should provide liquidity to the market. The central bank, of course, is ready to purchase our treasury bills, of course, for a limited time, because we don't expect this coronavirus to last forever. We're looking at an end to it in the next 5 or 6 months.